All right, we ready? And grab your bag and go. That's it. Move, move. Go, 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 go. One, Armani suits and run.
Manager to cash register.
All
Manager
right.
to cash register.
All right. Week 8, Armani. Ran into our first real bump in the road. Um, Vibes were high after a couple consecutive 4-1 weeks, but it was a down week, bound to happen. Our first and hopefully our last 1-4 week. Um, let's start with the good, which was our one win. Um, Not to brag, I was on the Browns, -2.5. I said I was going into the mud, literally and figuratively with that pick, and that's what we did with the weather. I definitely saw Miami as a dead team. They proved that out. Browns just kind of dominated that game. It was a big Quinshon Judkins game. Um, so it was good to get that one under our belt. But we did start the day with a loss. International correspondent, correspondent 40 took his first L of the season. Jags +3, just never in play. I think too, like I feel like we were talking about this during the game. Like if you looked at the stats, like it didn't necessarily look like it should be a big blowout, but the Jags just couldn't convert anything in the red zone. Turnovers on downs a few times, bad performance all around. Stafford had, I think, 5 touchdown passes, but I feel like he threw for like less than 200 yards. Or might have barely eclipsed it on his final TD throw. But any thoughts on the Jags game?
Um, no, I mean, I think maybe it was a bit of a getaway game for 40, right? We don't have any sort of international games for a couple weeks. So, I think maybe there was a bit of like a spring break mentality where last day of school, he was just trying to get out of there. He was driving down to a wedding. We got his pick about 10 minutes before we started recording. So I feel like that was just one of those things. Maybe it was a bit of a tone setter for the week. And maybe it started us off. But, I'll just get out in front of it and I'll just say, instead of going through the whole card, right? We touched on the positive. We did get a win last week. Um, but we talked about it. Let's just bury the football. Let's move on. There's no need to go through 4 losses. Who gives a shit? I don't even remember what we had on the card. Yeah, you know what? We had a bad week. We've been on a good run. You have to factor some of those into the season. You just try to limit those. But
Yeah.
we talked about it as soon as it happened. We said, Sunday night, let's just bury the football. Let's move on. We got Lila Bowen's birthday this week.
Yep.
Uh, we had a old homecoming memories pop up. So we have some people that we're playing for. So I think last week was just our on to Cincinnati week. And then we're moving forward. We're just going to try and get it back on track.
And all things considered, we're 19-16.
Yeah.
It's a great record.
If you told me that we'd be 19-16 through 7 weeks, I mean,
100%.
about as good as you could ask for. I mean, that's
100%.
this shit's hard. So
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, so week 8, Karen, you said it before we started recording, but we're back to a bit of a normal week. There's no international game, and then we've got one Sunday night game, which is the Packers and Steelers. A lot to play for there. We'll talk about that, and then we get the Commanders and the Chiefs. So just one Monday night game. So standard slate. We'll get back to it. Do we want to head to the wheel?
Yeah. Hell of a wheel.
Wow, slipped in there. All right, I'm going Bucks over the Saints, -3.5. Um, it's a bit of a bounce back gut play for me. Um, I do believe in Baker. I do like this Bucks team. Obviously, they're coming off a tough loss against the Lions, where they really didn't have it offensively. Really couldn't find any sort of rhythm. Um, but I think much like we are going to bounce back this week, I believe that Baker and the Bucks are. Um, There is also one glaring statistic that popped out to me when I was looking over this game. Oddly enough, Spencer Rattler has only made two starts against the NFC South in his career with the Saints. This will now be his third, and all three have come against Tampa Bay. The Bucks have outscored the Saints 78 to 46 in the two meetings with Rattler.
Mm.
The overs hit in both. I thought he regressed last week against a good defense. The Bucks still bring a very stout D to the table. I like Baker. I like this Bucks team. I think they get it done. -3.5 over the Saints.
I like the pick a lot. I think what's being forgotten about the Bucks team, I think you can look at last week and kind of what's been going on all season with their wide receiver health, especially Godwin and Evans. Haven't really been factors all year. Obviously, Evans got hurt last week, and Godwin is he's not playing this week again. So it's just going to be Buka and then that kind of mixed bunch. And that's when Baker was his best. I mean, he was able to. I mean, him and Egbuka when Egbuka was healthy was lighting everybody up. Those supporting cast guys, I think, are going to be elevated by Baker. Kind of in that spot again. And like you said, I think it's just a good matchup. Clearly, the past two matchups have been pretty lopsided. And I think with the Saints, you hear a lot of Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave trade rumors. I know Alvin shut down the trade rumors, but there was Alvin trade rumors at one point. Clearly seems like a team that's kind of trending down. Obviously, they're not, winning many football games, but also just kind of from a managerial standpoint, I think they may be sellers at the deadline, just from everything that's being talked about. So I think two teams going two different ways. I like the bounce back spot, and 3.5 it is.
Yep.
I mean, that's a fair number. Maybe smells a little bit, but at the same time, I mean, Saints are at home. So, like the Bucks here too.
The Saints, they were Stu Finer's mortal. And that was with Big Cat made a deal that if he hit his mortal, Stu would get legit contract negotiations. They would break bread, get dinner, talk deals. So that does scare me a little bit. That Stu, who at the same time he was talking up another team, saying that the opposing team's quarterback might die. This other team's going to play this game like it's a Super Bowl. I'm not going to touch that game right now because that's on the regular card, so it could be one of our picks. So it is. It did kind of stick out as weird to me that Stu was talking that game up, and then he went with another game for his mortal. It could be a little bit of a crisscross there, but when I heard that, I tried to sell myself on the Saints. He was so confident, and I was like, well, maybe I should think about adding that to my card. I was looking at the game. I like the game. I couldn't really pick much of a side, though. I think that this will be an over game, and I think that stat that you gave Tristan is a very good indicator for that. I just think it's one of those where the top players for both teams are going to have good matchups. I think Egbuka, assuming that he's good to go, right? I don't know what his status is.
He's
I know he was
practicing.
playing last week,
He's practicing.
but he should have a good matchup. Olave, Alvin Kamara, they should have good matchups. Kate Otten, who was coming on strong at the end of last game, this is actually a good matchup for him as well.
Mhm.
So I think this could be a high scoring game. I don't really know what side it's going to end up on. Like I said, I like the game, but I didn't have either side on my card.
All right. Bucks -3.5. Back to the wheel.
Another hell of a wheel.
All right. Hold on, let me just write this. Um, Kind of going against the grain for myself here, and I think this might be the first time all season that I've taken a favorite, and I'm taking a big favorite. I'm taking the Falcons -7.5. I believe they are at home. Can I confirm that really
Yep,
quick?
they are.
Uh, yes, they're playing in the dome. I do think, just like we were talking about last week with Miami, I do think they are a dead team.
Mhm.
And it's just one of those where it just seems like the vibes continue to just pile on and on and on. I mean, Tua continues to go up and be the worst press conference known to man.
Terrible.
talked about how he wasn't able to throw to Jalen Waddle because he's too short behind the line.
What
Um,
was that?
McDaniels was pissed. I don't know if you guys saw the clip, but when Tua threw his final interception of the game, and McDaniels, he's just hitting him with this. He's just telling him, just get off the field. And then the next drive, Quinn Ewers goes in. So it sounds like Tua's going to be back to being the starter this week. I just I don't think this is a team that responds. I don't think that this is a team that's going to rally around. I do think that they are dead. I would expect Mike McDaniel to be the next head coach to be fired. But I also think that the Falcons, they're just a team that, when they get into prime time, maybe they fall a little bit too much in love with the run game, which I understand it, right? You got Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier has a case to be one of the best second running backs in the league. That's a really good rushing attack, but I do think in these primetime games they've gotten a little too cute, especially when they get the lead and they're playing in the second half. They start to go away from the pass game. I mean, I understand that Kyle Pitts has become a bit of a joke, but he is still a pretty good weapon, especially when they decide to lean on him. But even Drake London, they're not just setting up targets. They're not treating him like the guy that'll go for 10 catches on 14 targets with 100 yards and a touchdown or two. They tend to, once they get a lead, they play a little scared, but I think they play looser in the daytime. They're playing at 1 o'clock this week. And I think that at home, this is a good opportunity. I think this is a good chance for Darnell Mooney to get involved. Maybe he can find the end zone. But I think this is where, Bijan's going to do his thing, but I think that they might lean on the pass game a little bit more and give themselves a bit of a chance to run the score up. So, even at the big number, even, giving away that hook, I like the Falcons. I think this is a good opportunity for them to just blow out what is a fading Dolphins team.
I think it's a good you know, I was touching on them a little bit earlier, but they're a team that I feel like is a classic like week to week. You just don't know what version you're gonna get. And they obviously 2 weeks ago looked great against the Bills. Last week we were on the wrong side. They didn't look great against San Francisco. They're to your point, they're back home. I think it's a great bounce back spot for them. I agree with you that the Dolphins are a dead team. The Dolphins are awful against the run. So I will be curious. I agree with you about like how they get cute, with that offense and should just feed Drake London. But this is also a week where both Bijan and Algier should eat. I mean, Quinshon Judkins ran crazy last week, and I think they're going to have a ton of opportunities running against that Dolphins run defense. So this does feel like a really, really great spot for the Falcons to get back on track, look really, really good, and continue to show people that like when they are firing on all cylinders, like it's a good looking football team.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those games too where if you do get that right version of the Falcons and the Dolphins are what they are, I don't think the Dolphins I don't think anybody would be surprised if you look up at the scoreboard like 6 minutes into the game and it's like 14-0 somehow, or like first quarter it's like a lopsided number already. I just think it's one of those games that could or has the potential just to get out of hand really, really quick. You guys have touched on Bijan and Drake. I don't really have to say much more on them. I mean, they're elite at what they do. And I know Penix is a little banged up. He's been something with a knee, I think, all week, like limited with a knee. I think he was practicing all week though. And it sounds like he's good to go. But that's really, my only thoughts on the game. I think it could get out of hand early, and got to let your guys be guys. So, um, Dolphins are dead.
And to what I was saying about the early versus late game, so right now it's actually a 3-3 split for the Falcons. They played 3 afternoon games, 3 primetime games. Of course, you got to factor in who the opponents are, right? It definitely has been tougher matchups in those primetime games. But Penix, he's throwing 209 yards per game at night and 261 during the day. More attempts, 13 more attempts in those 3 games, more touchdowns. He does have all 3 of his interceptions early, but I think that also kind of plays into what I'm saying, where they play a little bit more loose. I think they're willing to take more risks and try shit out. And especially as a young team, you want to kind of tighten it up in those primetime spots. So yeah, I think if you know, hey, maybe the Dolphins they can rally around McDaniel and they can start turning the season around. I've just seen nothing to suggest that they can do that. So
Yep.
I'm going to go with the team that has maybe higher aspirations this year.
I like it. All right, back to the wheel.
All right. It's Bengals -6.5 at home against the Jets. I'll start with the Jets. They are currently going into Saturday morning not having announced the starter for the at quarterback. They are without Garrett Wilson, who was announced out today. Um, they are a winless team with an owner who's an idiot who had a stupid ass press conference or like impromptu interview um, saying kind of shitting on Justin Fields, who could be his starter this week. Um, the vibes are all time low, but I just don't think for a lot of teams, I think this would be rock bottom, but for the Jets, I think they have so much more left in the tank. I think it's still going to get worse before it gets any better for them. I think it's too early in the season to call this rock bottom for a terrible franchise like they are. And, for the Bengals, I think we saw a revitalized bunch, ironically by a 40-year-old quarterback, but he fed Jamar Chase early, often, and on time. Getting him the ball, I think over 20 time targets for like 16 catches or something ridiculous. T. Higgins had a good game, and even Chase Brown had a game over 100 rushing yards with Joe Flacco, again, being on time in the offense, throwing the ball to spots, and continually moving the chains. The number does not scare me in this game. 6.5 feels like a generous number for a team at home playing maybe the worst iteration of the Jets we've ever seen. Especially being without Garrett Wilson with Tyrod Taylor banged up with a knee, who's probably going to be the starter, I would guess. Um, I just see a smash spot for the Bengals. I think Jamar keeps doing what Jamar does. I think the Bengals they played pretty good defense against the Steelers last week. And Trey Hendrickson did practice this week 2 times. And then today, it sounded like it was a rest day, also sort of like a precautionary day. So he could be playing. I think he's a true questionable. So they could also have that defensive spark with one of the top edge guys in the league coming back. So I think the Bengals are going to smoke them by like 2 touchdowns plus.
Well, I'm checking with the just curious if the spread moved at all because I don't know when these lines lock. Um, this was a game that I had. It was kind of like similar to what I was saying about that Bucks Saints game where I was looking and I mean one it was just kind of tough without the quarterback announcement because I do think it is a little bit different of a game plan if you have Tyrod Taylor at quarterback versus Justin Fields. Um, to me, though, it was just I think this could be a high offensive game regardless. I mean, I understand that the Jets offense has been, really bad, and they were really bad last week with both quarterbacks in. But I think it's a good opportunity for them to try and establish the run. We'll see. I think Breece Hall is still questionable at this time, but yeah, I mean, I definitely, if gun to my head, I'm picking the Bengals to win. I like that we're getting them inside of a touchdown. I think it's a good opportunity for them to just sling it like they've been doing. I think T. Higgins, he's a guy to look at for a touchdown, especially he was a little unselfish last week and he decided to slide when he had an easy one to walk right in with. But ultimately, it was just the Bengals defense is pretty bad. So it was just like a ton of points in that regard. So, yeah, I mean, but like I said, inside of a touchdown, gun to my head, I'm going to take the Bengals to sling it against this, awful Jets defense, especially with Sauce Gardner gone. And I just like those receivers going against them. So,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if I'm picking a side, I'm definitely not picking the Jets. I mean that to me is I think Aaron Glenn certainly got more fight in him than, Mike McDaniel does. Obviously he's still in his first season, but, I feel like he's a guy that's going to continue to have his team battle. But the reality is like that Jets team has nothing right
Yeah.
now. I just don't see it. I mean, to your point, I haven't even named a starter. The owner's already, basically put all the blame on Justin Fields, which I mean, maybe he's not wrong, but like, I mean, Fields has been terrible, but what are you doing? Brees Hall's questionable. Garrett Wilson's out. Your best cornerback's out. Like, there's just not a lot to get excited about. And I think, I feel like the Bengals got some like good vibes going, coming off that Thursday night win. Flacco's one of those guys where feel like with him in him under center, like you got a lot of opportunity and with those weapons, like they can put up some numbers and yeah, I feel a lot better being on the Bengals side here. So I like the pick.
All right.
Kenner, what was the other game that Stu was talking about?
The Broncos. They said Dak Prescott might die.
Really?
Yeah. I actually, the Cowboys were my second team, or second pick, if the Bengals were to go today. So probably bodes well for the for Stu. So
Well, he said that he has sources telling him that they're treating this game like the Super Bowl.
Who?
that's who you were talking about.
Yeah,
You
Wait,
said that.
who's treating it like the Super Bowl?
the Broncos.
Oh, the Broncos are?
Like they're treating this week like it's do or die.
This sounds like Stu Founder's getting himself worked up for no reason.
I do kind of like it. I mean, like that Cowboys. I mean, when we're just talking about it, like I mean, the Broncos offense is definitely not as they definitely don't have as high of a ceiling as the Cowboys offense does, but that defense is significantly better than the Cowboys defense. So I
But
mean, I don't really foresee the Cowboys defense stopping a very solid offense with a really good coach.
Yeah.
And if a defense is going to stop an offense, I definitely think that Broncos defense can take control of that game. And I mean, it is definitely one of those spots where all of a sudden Dak can just get flustered and it can get ugly.
Yeah, I mean, especially now that he's got CD back, like I mean, this is a big spot for Dak, you know. He's gonna show up and get it done. Otherwise,
is this the America's game of the week?
Um,
4:35 or whatever, 4:25.
yeah, because I would assume it's either that or the Titans and Colts. So I'm going to assume the Cowboys Broncos gets the
Yeah, yeah.
game of the week nod there.
let's
But
see
I
here.
mean, it's the fucking Cowboys. I'm tired of people, being like, oh, they had an elite pass rusher with Micah Parsons, like when Jerry Jones was talking. Yeah, they didn't do shit with Micah Parsons. Like, why is everybody acting like, this is how people acted when the Pats traded Chandler Jones, and the Pats are actually really good with Chandler Jones. Cowboys have never been shit. Like, what? And what's Micah Parsons doing on this Packers defense? All of a sudden, everybody's talking about this Packers defense going into the season. Oh, this might be the best defense of all time. Is this the best team in the league? They've looked awful. And he's been hurt,
Yeah.
just like everybody was saying.
Well, speaking of the Packers, it's a great segue back to the wheel.
What's that? 3 Packers on the road.
It
Yes.
is, yeah,
Packers are -3 on the road.
yeah, yeah. I'm with the Steelers. Um, Rodgers is obviously going to be motivated. Um, I am very underwhelmed by the Packers' overall body of work this season. Um, Obviously, we were on the wrong side last week. Bowen, you had them.
Mhm.
That pass game, to me, Jordan Love, like they just do not seem like they are in sync. Um, and defensively, uh, somewhat alarming to me how well Jacoby Brissett and the Cardinals offense moved that ball down the field, and
Mhm.
just continued to answer, continued to respond, continued to keep them in the game. And frankly, I mean, had a chance to win the game at the end. But this is it's a bounce back Mike Tomlin spot off a loss, 61 and 46 against the spread as a coach of the Steelers. That's hitting at a 57% rate. He is 25 and 14 against the spread as a dog off of an outright loss, including 12 and 3 against the spread as a home dog off a straight up loss. Um, I think it's a great spot for them. I do think this Steelers offense has looked good. I think Rodgers has done a really good job. And like I said, I've been just generally overwhelmed by this Packers team. And I think Rodgers is going to want to come in and he's going to want to make a statement. So I like them getting the points here.
All right, hold on. Just looking for some. All right. Oof.
Oh wow.
Brown. Brown.
Wow.
I am on the Steelers as well. Everything that you said, Tristan. That game last week, obviously, I had, like you said, it was like a uniquely frustrating game to watch. It was a close game numbers wise. Like Packers ended up winning by 4, and it was a 6.5 spread. But it never was close. It felt like it was always the Cardinals were always driving on the field, always getting those chunk plays. And I frankly just don't want to root for the Packers to have to cover any points this week. Really don't want to do it. It was terrible last week, and let the Steelers, getting points at home. It's always a plus.
He's big.
Yeah.
He's big.
Okay. Let me just make sure I got the screen wrong. Um, this is interesting
Oh no.
because I can provide receipts to prove that the Steelers were my pick.
Yep.
So I have no choice but to stay, true to what I had and pick the Steelers, which would then
Trigger.
trigger the Costanza rule. The thing is, I'm happy to do it because I don't like the way that we've been talking about this game. This feels like we're being suckered
Yep.
into
Yep.
3-point home dogs, and I don't like it. First of all,
But this
Rodgers
is
already
why
had a
this.
revenge game earlier this year, week 1 against the Jets.
Mhm.
They won it 34-32.
Mm,
We see what the Jets are doing. The Jets are terrible. They let
mhm.
Justin Fields run all over them. I mean, Jordan Love, he's not as prolific with his legs, not even close. You might cap out at like 15 yards, but they let a really bad offense run all over them and then throw all over them. Um, Rodgers, he's talked about how he feels no animosity towards the Packers. I don't know how motivated he really is outside of how much he would be in normal games. I think to him, this really is, a bit of just like a regular primetime game where, hey, my team's in playoff contention. We need to win. He's talked about how he's excited to just see Packers employees. He doesn't feel any ill will. Yeah, he hopes to end his career with them. I don't think he's going out there planning to just shove it up their ass. And I believe it too. I don't think that he's just playing coy for the cameras. I mean, we've seen earlier in his career, he'd be a little more snide, he'd be a little more snarky, and maybe, a little more backhanded with the way that he talks. But I think now in his kind of enlightened age, in his 40s, he does all the drugs. He's got like the worst tattoo I've ever seen on his arm. It's not a bad piece of art. It's just lame. It's a really lame first tattoo. And it's very much like hey, look at me. I just got a tattoo. It's ridiculous. But I don't know if it's really there. And I think just the way that we're talking about, oh, Talman at home is an underdog in prime time. Oh, the Packers, they look so bad. Maybe we're falling victim to just, what happened the last week or two. So, I'm happy to stay true to myself and also pick the Pittsburgh Steelers with you guys.
This is exactly why this rule exists. This is it. Packers -3 is a pick.
Here, and I'll cover up my hold on. I gotta do like the Bosco.
Oh, because we can't see your other pick.
Yeah, I don't want to tip my other picks.
There it is. There it is.
Perfect. A true Costanza.
I
We hadn't
know.
had one in a while either.
No, no, it's been a
Been
while.
like a month or
It was
so.
just one of those things where, if I was first on the wheel, I would have been running up to the podium taking Steelers +3. And then it was as I was hearing it, I was getting like sick to my stomach. And I was
Yeah,
like, oh
yeah,
man, I just feel like the three of us are suckers for taking this.
yeah.
So
But this is
um,
we know ourselves.
I hope it's not taken as criticism towards you guys because I was with you guys.
Yeah,
It was more just realizing in real time that we might be falling into a trap.
yeah. No, but we are acutely aware of our own misgivings.
Yeah.
And that is why we put this rule into place. We honor it, we respect it, and I am happy to enact it. So,
All right.
Cool. And this is Chiefs.
Chiefs at
Chiefs.
home -12.5.
yeah.
Oof.
Just for the record, Jaden Daniels is out. It sounds like McLaurin and Debo are good to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, just give me the 12.5 points. Wouldn't feel right taking it the other way. Commanders, I like Mariota as a player. I think he's one of the more serviceable backups in the league. And the spot starts he had this year for Jaden, pretty solid player. I don't know what Terry is going to be able to bring, but I do think Debo will be back. He only had a 1 week hiatus for injury, so um, I think they'll be able to make some plays. The Chiefs defense I know just beat up on the Raiders. It was kind of more the Raiders beating up on themselves. They're inept pretty much across the board on offense, and I don't look too far into that game at all. I think that's just more the Raiders and less about the Chiefs defense. The rest of the season, the Chiefs hadn't been world beaters on defense. So I think the Commanders will be able to keep it close enough. It's a big number, prime time. So yeah, I let the Commanders 12.5.
All right.
I'm on the other side. Chiefs -12.5. I know it's a big number, but um, I love the way they just continue to build and build and build week over week. And especially now they got Rashee Rice. Obviously, the Raiders aren't anything, but I mean they just put an absolute beat down on them last week. They look to me like they're at full strength, or if not, like very, very near full strength. And the Commanders to me feel like, especially with Jaden being out, like this season could very quickly start to get away from them. Their schedule the next few weeks, including this game, is brutal. I think they've got the Seahawks and the Lions after this. They could very well be 3-7 in just a few weeks, which is going to be a big, big hole for them. But with Rashee Rice back, Jaden Daniels out, I know Debo and McLaurin set to return, but um, you know, I mean McLaurin hasn't even played, so I don't know how much of a contribution he's really going to make. I don't want to overstate his return here. So I like the Chiefs here. I think this is going to be a really impressive win for them. So
Okay, okay. Um, wow. It's two tough
Pivotal week from
decisions
Benny.
tonight.
Pivotal week from Benny.
I really do hold the keys this week.
hmm
Um, I'm a Zach on the Commanders +12.5. I do think it is a ton of points. I think Debo and McLaurin being back is huge. I do think that Mariota is one of the better backups in the league, if not the best. I'm not sure. I don't have a definitive list off the top of my head, but one stat I did find interesting is that since 2022, the Chiefs are 1-5 against the spread after playing the Raiders. All six of those games were one possession games. I didn't go back in history. I didn't look at who they were matched up with, but I do think the fact that they're all close games is big. Especially when we're getting 12 and a half points here. But yeah, I mean, I do also think it just felt like last week was a real empty the tank game. Like we just need to get Rasheed back. I think it's tough to follow up performances like that. That doesn't mean that they can't come out here and win a one possession game like I'm sure they have. And all those games that are 1-5 against the spread, I can't imagine their straight up record was too bad there. But yeah, I mean, I think Mariota can come in. I think he's when you bring in a backup, I think a big risk that you're taking is can they actually throw the ball? I think Mariota can. He can get it done with his legs, and I think the fact that he has receivers that are able to actually win on the inside and the outside consistently, at like more of a good to elite level is huge. But also the fact that these past couple weeks, guys like Luke McCaffrey have been able to get reps in and come on strong. I'm blanking on, is it Jalen Lane? Who's the because the Chiefs or the Chiefs they drafted a rookie. Is Jalen Noel the one that's in Houston? And then there's another rookie that
Jacoby Lane from USC. Is that who I'm thinking of?
I gotta look this up real
I
quick.
could be making up a fake person. That's totally possible.
Who's the
Jalen.
rookie receiver that they have? Targets. Jalen Lane, yes. Utah State? No, Virginia Tech. But
Yeah.
like he had 6 targets, 60 yards last week. I know that was a game that got away from them a bit, but yeah, I mean, I just think the fact that they're getting their top two guys back and the guys that are third and fourth and fifth on the depth chart were able to get those reps in. That's big going into a game like this. It just means that they can go a little bit deeper. I wouldn't be surprised if Luke McCaffrey scored a touchdown. I do think it's a good matchup for him as well. But yeah, I mean, I think that they're going to be able to actually throw the ball and keep up with it, which is something that a lot of teams lose the ability to do when they go to their backup. So I think just getting that big and it just. I don't know. I just have a hard time seeing it be that big of a blowout. On prime time. I just feel like there's always some sort of weird magic with that. I think for it to be such a big spread and then also turn into an ugly game like that, I think it's just a little more rare. So, I'd rather have all those points instead of chasing it with the Chiefs, no matter how good that they've been playing. But yeah, so the Commanders plus 12 and a half.
All right.
And good to get an underdog. I was getting a little nervous that we were going to respond to a
No,
1-4 week with five favorites.
five
I mean, of
favorites, right?
course, we were all on the Steelers, so
Yeah.
that is a little bit of an asterisk there if we were going to be
Yeah.
five favorites. But if we got to five favorites, I was going to propose maybe a spin to see if we just flip the entire cards. And maybe that's something we should consider moving forward. If we ever end up with five favorites, maybe we should do a full card Costanza wheel.
Yeah. I
It,
do.
it won't be an automatic rule. It'll come down to the wheel, yes or no.
Yeah.
I actually fucking love that. I would do that in 1 week.
My favorites is just ugly.
That'd be awesome, especially after a 1-4 week too. Like
Uh,
that factored in, like
Great
that
idea.
matters. That does matter.
Great idea.
we'll add that to the arsenal.
All right. So to recap, we got the Bucks minus 3.5. That's my pick. We got the Falcons minus 7.5. That's Kiernan's pick. Bengals minus 6.5. That's Bowen. Packers minus 3. That's a Costanza pick. And then we get the Commanders plus 12.5 on Monday night. That's Bowen and Kiernan. Majority rules. 5-0.
5-0. 19-16 so far.
19-16 will be 24-16 this time next week.
24-16 would look real good.
That would go hard
Yeah, that go crazy.
for sure.
KB, are you hitting that bar?
Yeah, I think I might. I don't know. I mean, it's only a few blocks away, but this bar, I mean, it's not like a great bar, but they have a limo that rides around Hoboken on like Friday and Saturday nights. You can just hop in, it just takes you to the bar.
No, that's cool.
kind of wild.
That's kind of sweet. I've only gone in at one time, but it was funny because we were at a bar and we stayed like much longer than we anticipated. We were kind of planning on hitting a few spots. And we're like, yeah, oh shit, like we gotta just like finish this up and go somewhere else. Like we really only have time for one more, and then we walk out. We're trying to figure out where we want to go, and then the limo pulls by, so we ended up just taking the limo there.
Yo, wait,
Oh,
the Blue Jays put up 9 in an inning.
Yeah, I think they hit like a grand slam and like another home run.
It's 11-2 in the top of the seventh. Oh my lord.
holy shit.
Good for fucking them. Oh, they
They
had a
did
grand
that.
slam.
Oh, they did that to, wow, they did that to Blake Snell, huh?
Wow.
That guy's a hoss in the postseason.
Wow, they just blew it up. They just blew up his postseason.
Good for them. Shit. I like it. All right.
Yeah.
Shout, shout,
Word.
shout out Lila B.
Yeah, man. Yeah, hell yeah. Thank you. 5-0. 5-0 for LB.
Let's do
Big
it.
time.
All
All
right.
right, I'll see
Peace,
you guys.
fellas.
All right. Later.